All right, welcome back to episode 6 of Jocks with Docs podcast. I'm Doc Smith. On the other side is Doc Will, and this week we have a guest, our good friend Doc Watson. Doc Watson, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
What's up,
Tell us a
everybody?
little bit about yourself.
I'm Ty, also known as Doc Watson. Spent 14 years in the Navy as a Navy corpsman, most of which was spent with the Marine Corps and the Grunts. Did 2 tours to Iraq. I'm a huge sports fanatic. I'm a big Duke basketball fan, Packers football, and Braves baseball. Look forward to being part of this with you guys. I think I've known you now for damn near 20 years as we were together in Great Lakes. And shit, Brad, I think we even go back as far as Field Med together.
Field Med. Yep. A long time.
Yep.
Well, I guess we also need to, this week, or today I should say, is the Marine Corps birthday, so we wouldn't be remiss without, wishing the Marines a happy birthday since we spent quite a bit of time with them. So 247th birthday for them today. So happy birthday, Devil Dogs, and try not to get too drunk. So this week I think we were going to discuss a few things. I think last week we didn't get to get on here, but I think we'll discuss the trade deadline for a lot of the teams and how everything went for everybody. I know for my Broncos, we traded Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins, which not really too upset about. It was kind of expected. I know they were trying to, get some draft picks. They didn't figure they'd re-sign him next offseason. So, and plus we have some depth at linebacker, and then just he's injury prone. So, it's sad to see him go, but at the same time, it was a benefit. It was a benefit for both parties. How do you guys feel with everything?
I don't know. I think that to me it was kind of a bold move by the Broncos. I don't want to say they were giving up on the season, but I think they also had Judy was on the trade block. I think they had a few people offering, for a team that went all in on Russell Wilson to start trading pieces away already. I mean, why don't you just start by getting rid of the coach before you start getting rid of players? Miami got the steal, and they're going to need it for the offenses that they're going to have to go up against Buffalo and Kansas City. But to me, beginning of the year, people were talking about Denver being Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, it went south pretty quick.
Real quick. So I'm with Ty on this. I would not have given up Chubb. I like Chubb. You and I talked about this before, Brad. I thought Chubb was coming into his own. He was better with Von Miller there, but I think you get someone opposite of in Miami, it's going to help Miami a lot, though. Watson said. That team is an offensive juggernaut now, even though they don't even have a good running back, right? They traded for, what's his name, from the was it from the Niners?
Wilson
from
the Niners. San Francisco.
He can't stay healthy. He couldn't stay healthy in San Francisco. None of the Niners running backs can stay healthy.
Yeah.
And now they got McCaffrey, so we'll see. But as far as the Dolphins go, I like that trade for the Dolphins. I think they could be a dark horse in the AFC. So we'll see.
How do you feel like with some of the other outcomes? I think we were just talking, Ty's a Packers fan, and a lot of people were surprised that they didn't go in on a wide receiver. Were you guys kind of surprised by that as well?
I was. I think there was a couple people that I wanted them to target. I know Jerry Jeudy, we talked about it. I know he was out there. But Chase Claypool was a guy that I was really, I was interested in seeing if they were going to be able to get. And from what I'd read online is that the Packers had made an offer, but the Steelers eventually took the Bears' offer because they felt like that draft pick was going to be better than what the Packers were going to get.
Right. I don't know about that.
Which is the second time in probably 5 years that the Packers have been sniped by the Bears. Yep. Because Khalil Mack, coming from Oakland a few years ago, the Packers had an offer in on him, but the Raiders took the Bears draft pick instead because they felt they were going to be better. The Bears ended up going to the playoffs that year, and the Packers would have given them a better draft pick.
Yeah.
Which I think turned into Jordan Love. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
It was Jordan Love. I thought the Packers had Chase Claypool locked up. We know why the Steelers got rid of him. He was a second-round pick. I thought he played good with Ben. He just struggled when you have to play they moved him to the slot. He's not a slot receiver. He's too big. He wants to be at the X, and I think that's what he's going to be with Chicago.
Was his fifth-year option? Did he come from the same draft class as Chubb, or what class was he from?
No, he was 2 years ago. This is going to be his third year. He's from Notre Dame.
Oh, wow. So he still had another year
2 more years.
Contract.
Yeah, technically 2, right. So the Steelers they felt fair, right? Second round for a second round, and they feel the Bears are going to be worse off than the Packers, so the Pack will be higher.
It was surprising, that with the Bears making that trade for Claypool, they trade him, but then they trade Roquan Smith to the Ravens. It was kind of weird. You're taking away from your defense and adding to your offense.
Yeah, they don't have any defense. And the reason why Raekwon got dealt is because him and Poles didn't get along, the new GM. The new GM didn't draft him.
Yeah.
Ryan didn't draft him.
Isn't he traded yet?
Wasn't he up for contract this year, or he'd have been a free agent after this year?
He was, and they offered him $20 million a year, Chicago, but he wanted more guaranteed money. And Ryan's like, he comes from Kansas City. Get out of here. So Baltimore, he'll look good in Baltimore. Watch.
And who'd they trade to the Eagles? They traded another lineman to the Eagles, didn't they? The Bears did.
Who, the Bears?
Yeah. They traded, I can't think of his name.
Oh, Robert Quinn.
Yes. They traded him to the Eagles. So,
Eagles,
man. Shoo,
yeah,
that
Eagles
team is nasty.
Yeah, that team is stacked.
They are scary good.
See, to an extent, I agree. If you're looking at it right now, if I had to choose my NFC Championship game right now, based off of what I've seen the first 9 weeks of the season, I would almost think that it's going to be an NFC East NFC Championship game. Dallas and Philly. Dallas' defense is legit. I think that they're better than what it shows. I know that Dak Prescott hasn't always been the greatest, and he's been hurt the last couple weeks, and he's just coming back. And, Rush did whatever he had to do to keep that team alive, which is amazing, to come in as a backup quarterback and keep them afloat and in the race. But there isn't – you got Tom Brady. He's always the guy that can come out of nowhere. But they're offensively and defensively, Eagles and Dallas, I believe, are probably the two best teams coming out of the NFC. And I don't see –
What about Minnesota?
I think they're – I just don't think they're for real. You got one of the best pass catchers in the game in Justin Jefferson, and he is so inconsistent on what he's doing. If you look at what Jalen Hurts and that offense in Philadelphia and what they're doing and how consistent they are with what their offense is doing, whether it's A.J. Brown and their run game and Jalen Hurts, they're feeding that offense through those three guys and their three-headed monster running backs. It seems like some days Justin Jefferson can't even get a look until the third quarter.
But then, of course, you got Cousins as your quarterback, who's not good in the big games. He falls.
Well, but I also think it has a lot to do with the scheduling. I don't think that either the Eagles or the Vikings have played anybody outside of Dallas, and the Eagles beat Dallas. So I give them credit there. I'm not saying that they're not a good team, because they are. They look excellent, and they look to be the top-tier team coming out of the NFC. But I don't think their strength of schedule, if you look compared to some other teams that are that schedule, man, it's like until you see some teams that they're playing tough, like the Vikings played the Eagles and lost. I think that's their team that they lost to. So it's going to be Dallas played Philly, obviously, and they lost. Dallas comes to Green Bay this weekend. I don't know if all the NFC North plays the NFC East this year. I think that might work. It'd be interesting to see how Dallas and the Minnesota Vikings work out. But I don't know. If there was a for real team out of all of them, I think the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles are probably my number 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So let me chime in here. So my number 1 team is the Eagles, and this is before the trades. And it's simple for the fact is I believe in their defense, and I believe in their coach. I really like their coach. He's young. He's a play caller, right? It's got the history as a play caller. And he's putting Jalen in the right – Jalen is not lighting it up. He's not going – like Aaron Rodgers had to do 2 years ago, right? He's not throwing 50 times a game. He's throwing, 25 to 30? But he can run the ball. He doesn't turn over the ball. And it's okay to punt, but because their defense is so good. So that's what they've been playing to, their strengths. And it does help when you have two running backs. You got Devontae Smith and you got A.J. Brown, which was huge coming from Tennessee. So I
They
think
stole him
Eagles,
from Tennessee.
They pretty much
Yeah.
stole him. I mean, Tennessee and Vrabel, I mean, as good as a coach as he is, that wasn't his fault. He loved A.J. He didn't want A.J. to go, but they were about $10 to $20 million off according to contract talks. It's, you know, the Eagles gave A.J. that big contract before he even played a snap.
Yep.
So it just goes to show you. Howie Roseman for the Eagles, give him credit. Dude's been amazing as a GM. Do you remember 2 years ago, Ty, they were trying to run him out of town? They're trying to get him out of town. And now he's GM of the year, GM of the millennium. Philadelphia is good right now. They got
Well, that
Phillies,
helps when Jalen Hurts finally starts coming around, you know?
Yeah.
But it helps when you surround it with talent, okay? So Aaron Rodgers knows that. He had talent. Devontae gone, and now he's struggling with two rookie wide receivers. Lazard is hurt, who I actually think is going to be a good receiver, but he can't stay healthy. But let me get back to the Eagles anyways. If you were to say who the best two teams are for me, it would be the Eagles and the Cowboys. I think the Eagles are better, not just because they beat them, but I think they're more a complete team. And it comes down to the simple fact, I just like their coach better than the Cowboys, and then I love their quarterback better.
For the record, I can't stand Mike McCarthy.
Me either.
Gee, I wonder why that is.
I wonder why. And he's a Pittsburgh guy, right? He's from Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania guy. So I agree with Ty. So Eagles for the NFC, and then my AFC team, it would be the Buffalo Bills. I think even though they just lost this game, I think Josh Allen get his elbow right. I think the Bills will be fine. That defense is loaded. Offense is great. So I think that would be your Super Bowl, Bills versus the Eagles.
Could be. I'm kind of surprised. What is shocking to me, which this season's been freaking weird. It's the weirdest season. I've never seen so many freaking 3-5 or 2 and whatever. It's never seen that many teams just be mediocre this year. But I'm surprised by the Rams of having the Super Bowl hangover. I didn't figure they would not be as, I thought they'd be better than they are this year. I mean, they still have all the pieces from last year, except for Von Miller and Beckham. I mean, that's about the only pieces that they don't have outside of that. So you'd think they'd still be competitive.
I've never been a fan. I was going to say I've never been a fan of Stafford, but go ahead, Watson. You go ahead and chime in there.
I was going to say the same thing. I think that there was, I don't know, it's just the stars aligned for Stafford. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to look, when you look at the NFC teams and you're sitting here going, San Francisco, they started with Trey Lance, right? And then that's our starting quarterback. That's who it's going to be, and then he gets hurt. And the guy that they were debating on trading, who may not even started the season with him, is leading them, right
Save
now.
your season again.
Right. And the Cardinals were a mess last year, and they're still a mess this year. They can't get it together. I think this is Cliff Kingsbury's last year. If they don't make the playoffs and have a deep run, he's gone. But the surprise is the Seahawks and how well they are doing.
They figured they'd be in the basement.
Geno Smith and what he's – comeback player of the year.
Yeah,
right there,
absolutely.
Geno Smith.
Yep.
And
book it.
It's interesting to see how
he just had to get in a good system.
I don't even think Pete Carroll does a lot of crazy things with with a limited amount of people. His most talented teams were the Legion of Boom and that defense he had with Russell Wilson on offense and Marshawn Lynch, and that those teams were menacing on both sides of the ball, and you were afraid to play them no matter what, especially going into Seattle. But there's nobody in the West right now that I feel could scare anybody. The 49ers, with the addition of McCaffrey, I think changes everything. It can change the whole dynamic of that division, and it really they can't really lose anymore. They're 4-4 right now. They're playing catch up behind Seattle. If Philly's going to win, I feel Philly's going to win the division out of the East. Dallas will probably be the other team that comes out of there. You got Tampa Bay out of the South, the Vikings out of the North, and the Seahawks coming out of the West. That leaves one other team, correct? 6 teams come out of the,
Correct.
It's one other team. who is that going to be between the 49ers, Rams, and it'd be probably between the 49ers and Rams. I can't imagine.
I would say probably the 49ers. I think the Rams will miss the playoffs.
Right. Yep. I mean, looking at the Packers' remaining schedule, would I love to throw them in there? Absolutely. But I don't think that
make up that gap.
I don't think they have the schedule that they have going ahead is they still have to play the Eagles. I think it's in Philly, as a matter of fact. I have to look up their schedule. They got the Cowboys, Eagles, Rams, the Vikings again. They have the Titans still and the Dolphins.
Yeah, they're not making the playoffs, Ty.
That's a tough schedule right there. The Cowboys are one of the best defenses in the league. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC right now. The Rams, I could maybe see that one happening where they could actually pull out a win against them. Maybe the Vikings, but the Dolphins, Tennessee, and the Titans. I mean, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of season left. But if you're looking and you break that down as far as who's that left over to make it out of the NFC, I think it would be between the 49ers and the Rams.
Yeah,
at least out of the NFC.
Yeah, and I agree. I would pick the Niners.
Or even the Giants. I mean, it could even be the Giants. I don't want to write them off. I know it's easy to forget about Daniel Jones, and
he's trash.
it's still hard to believe.
Write them off, Ty. Giants are trash. I like their coach though because of the system he came from, Dabble from Buffalo. But yeah.
But even still, I mean,
competition.
Can you imagine? I mean, 3 teams on the NFC East, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Would be like the year that the AFC North 2 years ago, where it was Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals. Remember? So
right.
It can happen. It can happen.
Well, you still have. I mean, Washington's not that far out from.
I mean, technically they're 6-2. So I mean, they have the.
They're in it.
Those are the top 3 seeds right now out of the NFC. If the playoffs started today.
But now the Giants start playing teams, and they're going to start losing. Daniel Jones is, oh Lord, he's trash.
But they got Saquon healthy this year, so that could end up turning things around for them.
And their defense is much better, but they just lost their safety for the year, McKinley. Xavier, he's out for the year, so that's going to be a big blow. To get back to the NFC, though, I want to talk about the Niners because I actually think they're going to be able to turn their season around and get better here. For the simple fact is their defense. I like their defense with Bosa. Their defensive line. They got 3 first-rounders, right up there. They traded the one to the Colts, but they had 4 first-round linemen with Bosa. And then you have a good secondary. Do I like Jimmy G? No, but he's serviceable. He doesn't turn over the ball.
Now they can take the pressure off him and just run it with McCaffrey, so it's not.
Yep.
I mean, even McCaffrey's throwing touchdowns.
I know. Left-handed. I love that. I love that about McCaffrey.
But that's good for him, though, too. I think that was a huge boost for him because I think he was freaking drowning in Carolina.
Yeah.
Where everybody's just terrible right now. Which I think they're playing. Of course, they're playing tonight, which I think
the Falcons.
Amazon. I feel horrible for that damn contract that they got because they've got horrible teams playing on Thursday Night Football like the whole damn season.
Speaking of, are they not? And I don't know this. Maybe one of you know. Are they not allowed to flex the game on Thursday night because they flex the Steelers out and put
I don't know.
Do you know?
I think that's the NFL decision. I mean, they'd have to. That's
because
an NFL
of the programming.
thing, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I don't think it has anything to do with Amazon. I think the NFL.
No, but I mean, it's another terrible game though. The Falcons and the Panthers. I don't know. Who thought that was a good idea.
Even before the year, we both knew they were both going to suck. Although, wait, the Falcons, if they win tonight, are 500. Mariota has played better, so that is saying something.
If the Falcons win today and Tampa Bay loses this weekend,
they're in the league.
Just take over.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Falcons will be first as a 500 team. So
that's insane.
It is insane, but we've seen it happen. Remember the NFC least, I used to call it until this year. You remember they had all 4 teams were under 500, So
I just don't think anybody thought that Tom Brady was going to have as bad of a season as he's having. And he just looks like he's just...
The divorce is final now, so watch out. The divorce is final.
Is final now.
He's pissed. He's pissed. He's going to be on his game.
He's getting rid of all that money he's losing. He's like, damn it, I got to play better now. I got to make up all this money I'm going to be losing.
All right.
Just for reference, November 20th, the Cowboys and Vikings do play. So the entire NFC North and NFC East do play each other this year.
November 20th? Yeah, that's the game
November
I'm
20th,
going.
Cowboys and Vikings.
I'm going
And
to.
of course, this week it's going to be interesting because you got the Vikings and Bills playing, so that's going to be a
Without
really good
Josh Allen.
matchup.
Wait,
Oh, really? He's not playing?
I think
Wait.
I would be surprised.
They didn't rule him out yet.
It's questionable. I mean, he sprained his elbow. That's the same
Yeah,
elbow that if you want to
UCL.
segue into baseball. I mean, that UCL is the same thing that baseball players. That's the Tommy John surgery right there.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what what's his name for the Dodgers? Bueller. Walker Bueller's going through towards
Now,
UCL.
Is it like I'm not some GM or anything like that. If this was an AFC, a win's a win. You need a win no matter what.
But they have
you
they'll
gotta
be okay in the
protect
AFC.
your quarterback. I mean, that's the
I
future.
agree.
That's not just this season, but I mean, he goes out with Tommy John surgery. He doesn't come back for at least another year. So you're talking about a year from now, if he had surgery tomorrow and then some. I mean, that's almost a season and almost a full season before you come back.
Yeah, that's not worth it. Sit him down. Let him. They could win with the backup. They got a good team. They could run the ball and play.
Case
defense.
Keenum.
Yeah, Case Keenum.
Can you
is
imagine that? Can you imagine that? Case Keenum starts and beats the Vikings this weekend?
His old team. He's going to talk a lot
Oh, my
of
God.
shit.
That would be crazy.
He'd talk a lot of shit after.
Well, it'd just be like what the? It'd be another. Who was the guy? Nick Folk. It'd be another freaking
Nick Foles.
miracle.
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles.
Yeah. That shit's funny because Case Keenum got paid though. Remember, he got paid.
Oh, God.
So,
He was not very good for the Broncos. I'll say that. Oh, God.
well,
Shit show for Elway.
you guys haven't had a quarterback since.
Anyway, I ain't going to talk about them. Forget them. So a team that's kind of surprising to me, and I think, we had talked about this previously, Travis, but it looks like it might be a one-and-done season for Josh McDaniels in Las Vegas.
Yeah, in Las Vegas.
He's lost that damn team already.
Yeah, he's lost a
him
lot.
and Derek Carr look like him and Jay Cutler when they were, when he was in Denver.
Yeah.
And it looks like
And did you see
like you said, he's a good offensive coordinator, terrible head coach.
Yeah, Devontae Adams already throwing McDaniels under the bus, so
yeah,
I don't think he'll be there long.
No.
You know what? Their interim coach last year, who's the Packers special teams coordinator, Ty, right?
Yep.
He was good. Brasilia was good. He
Yep.
did a good job. He had the locker room, bunch of veterans. The Raiders, the Las Vegas team's an older team. McDaniels has just lost the team. There's no way they should have lost these last 3 games, by the way. They had all leads in all 3 games, and they lost kind of like the Ravens. They cough up the leads in the second half. So a lot of it is – I don't think McDaniels is going to be a good head coach, but I think he's a great coordinator. He always has a job with Saban or with Belichick. So,
yeah.
I mean, he'll always have a job.
What do you guys think of Jeff Saturday being hired as the Colts coach? Good move, bad move?
I think
Go
it's
ahead.
good. I think he played most of his career there. It's more of a Band-Aid on a bleeding wound that the fans can get behind, and maybe some of the players, but I don't think it's a permanent decision. It'd be interesting. Maybe it is. Maybe he'll end up being a permanent spot there. Who knows? I know that I think he was commentating, or he was on
Analyst.
TV, or
Analyst,
he was doing something beforehand.
Press
So,
conference.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah, you're right. He was on ESPN or something, I think.
Yeah, ESPN
but I mean,
analyst.
it's good. I think it's a smart move by Indianapolis to bring in a face of somebody that's been part of that franchise for years. To
You
help.
think they go back to Matt Ryan, or they stick with their 6th-round quarterback?
I don't think it makes a difference. What they need to do is go back to Jonathan Taylor. What's changed from last year to this year? You can't
Not
tell
running
me
the
that losing Carson Wentz is the reason why Jonathan Taylor can't run the ball.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, the best running back in football last year goes to one of the worst running backs in football this year because Carson Wentz is gone. I mean, I'm sure there's more to it than that, but I mean, they need to do. They need
Their
to
O-line
feed him.
hasn't changed. Their O-line was very good.
They need to feed him the rock. Feed him the rock.
Let me tell you what's wrong with the Colts, and I think it's a brilliant hire. As much as I think Jim Irsay is a pill popping druggie, but this is a brilliant move, and I'm going to tell you why. He's a He's not in the Hall of Fame, Jeff, right? But he's in the Ring of Honor in Indianapolis. He knows offensive line. He was very good center, Peyton Manning's favorite center. He's going to get the offensive line right. How do you have Quentin Nelson, the left tackle is a first rounder, and their center is a first rounder? What's his name? Ryan from Wisconsin. He was drafted from Wisconsin. So they got 3 first rounders, and you have Jonathan Taylor, who's been banged up with the ankle, so he's going to be coming back. Run the rock, like Ty said. Play defense. Their defense is good. They got probably one of the best, if not the best, middle linebacker in all of football, Leonard. So I think the Colts will be fine. A lot of people don't know this about the Colts. Since 2000, the Colts are the 4th winningest franchise in football. Since 2000. That's pretty incredible. You got the Patriots, you got the Steelers, and you got the Ravens, and then you have the 49ers. Those are your top Packers. Those are your top 4 teams since 2000 in regular season, not postseason. So the Colts have been a very good ran organization since Jim's bought the team. So
yeah,
give credit where credit's due. I think they get it right with Saturday. I think he becomes their permanent coach. I think they'll take off his interim at the end of the year. Even though it's not an interim, even though Jim said it's not, but I think they make it official moving forward and give him an actual contract. So I like it. I think it's good for football to get some new blood. This guy's never coached. He coached at high school, Christian Academy. That's it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I was looking up rushing yards. So the top 5 running backs right now in the NFL in rushing yards: Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Travis Etienne.
Okay. Well,
Travis Etienne is get 680 yards right now through 9 weeks of the season, and Jonathan Taylor was hurt for a few of those. Has 462 rushing yards,
and he's missed 4 games.
Right.
He'd be at the top. Well, he'd be at the top with because Chubb's looked really good all year, right? And so has Henry. So
Henry's always looked good.
And they feed him. Vrabel's going to feed him there in Tennessee. So, yeah,
I think trust Tannehill.
I think Saturday gets in there and fixes that offensive line, and they run the ball. Yep. So I like it.
I guess we could kind of transition over into baseball because it's getting ready. Of course, we just ended the World Series and the Astros won, which is definitely a surprise for me. I didn't have them at the beginning of the year. I was like, they kind of just stayed for, like I said, for me under the radar the whole year because I wasn't really paying too much attention to them, until it came to the playoffs and they got very good. Were you guys surprised?
I was more disappointed. I thought, the Braves making the push that they did to take over the NL East towards the end of the season and reminding Mets fans how they collapse every year was amazing, and to have I want to say the easiest way to the World Series because it's never easy to get to the World Series, especially repeating. The Yankees if you go back and look at those Yankees teams when they won back-to-back years, those are Hall of Famers on multiple Hall of Famers on that team. Not saying that the Braves don't have that, but if it's difficult to get back, to have it's funny because when the playoffs started, the first thing I said was, I hope to God Philadelphia wins because the last thing I want to do is play the St. Louis Cardinals. Because the Cardinals in the playoffs, for whatever reason, you get them in the playoffs, and those guys just get hot. And they've had the Braves number every time they went head-to-head.
And the Dodgers. And the Dodgers. Don't. And my Dodgers.
How that works.
Yep.
So to see Philly come back and, and come out and win it, I was like, I felt okay with that. I was like, all right, Philly. I don't want to – they did really, really well against them during the regular season. I was not nervous at all. Then next thing you know, I
was nervous. I even told Travis that one episode or one podcast, I was like, they worry the hell out of me because of how the regular season went.
Yep.
But for them to move on to the World Series, it just goes like Bryce Harper. If there's a player out there that's not wearing a Braves jersey, that's one of my favorite. It's Bryce Harper. That guy's been, he's been the focus for a lot of controversy, but he's also been a very good ball player.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if he would have gotten hurt this year, he'd have been looking at another MVP.
I agree.
Now, as far as the Astros winning it, I'm happy for their team because there is no more cloud of the cheating thing.
Cheating.
This is, I mean, for the most part, I think there's only a few
Legit.
leftovers, but for the most part, this is their. I even hate to say legit because technically that nothing was taken. Everybody, it's fans, that have decided that that's the asterisk next to the World Series championship, but you can't put anything next to this one. I mean,
Right.
they flat out won, and it was a good World Series to watch. It's not how I wanted it to go. I'd much rather have seen Philly win, but and coming from a Braves fan, that says a lot. But they looked impressive, and I don't know how they're going to be able to take that team to the next level to come back next year. I don't know what Verlander's plans are, but that pitching staff is not the youngest. I mean, I applaud it. It was a good World Series.
Yeah, I agree. I think Verlander's plan is to return to Detroit. He's been saying that for 2 years, so he opted out.
Too.
I think he goes back to Detroit and gets his Albert Pujols moment. Hurrah! Send off. But as much as I hate the Astros because my team got robbed by them in that year, so that was the asterisk year. This year was legit. I was happy for Dusty Baker, a former Dodger, right, who won his last World Series as a player in '81 for the Dodgers. So I was happy for Dusty. This is third go, right? He lost both times with the Giants. He returns. I'm sorry, Giants, Nationals, and then returns with the Astros. He finally gets it. So I was happy for him. I was impressed by the Astros hitting. Yordan Alvarez smoking through the postseason, gets to the World Series and just can't hit the ball. He comes up at that big moment.
Gets hot.
Pena, rookie shortstop. They get rid of Correa, which was smart on my end because this Pena kid is better defensively, and he's a good locker room kid. He's a glue guy. He reminds me of Bregman at third. So that's, very, very, all they do is eat, sleep, and, just dream about baseball. And Pena is the first ever rookie shortstop to get the MVP, right? So that's amazing at the age of 25. So I'm happy for Dusty, not happy for the Astros. I really wanted to see the Phillies win, though, because I'm with Ty. I love Bryce Harper. I wanted the Dodgers. We talked about this years ago, Brad. I wanted the Dodgers to go after Bryce even harder than they went after Mookie Betts. But, of course, I love Mookie. So just wanted the Phillies for that to win for Bryce, and that would have been nice. But they didn't. Now let's get to my Dodgers. Jesus. 3 years in a row. Well, we'll go 6 years in a row of over 100 wins. We only have one World Series to show for it. Been to 3. And the one we win is in a COVID-shortened season, 60-game season. Every team made it, so you can't bitch and complain about it. But you can I wouldn't put an asterisk to fans, but it's not a real championship since 1988, right, as the Dodger fans were saying. So, but injuries were a big part. You lose Buehler. Justin Turner's banged up, not to make excuses, right? You bring on Joey Gallo, who all he did was strike out. Played very good defense, though, out there in left field and right when Mookie moved to second. So I think the Dodgers will be okay moving forward. But the team I really want to talk about moving forward is your Braves, Ty, because you want to talk about young talent. You guys are missing your pitcher. What's his name? Strider? Got injured. I think that would have been huge difference. He did pitch. He didn't look the same. He didn't look healthy. You saw him grimacing after the pitch. He was still grooving 99 like it was nothing. But something was not right with his shoulder. You can see it. It was hurting his arm. And it wasn't just his shoulder, as we found out later. But you can see something wasn't right. But I'm really excited for the Braves, more so as they're to see if they can bring in someone. I hope you guys re-sign Swanson.
Did you hear that upstairs?
A little bit, yeah. So I hope
my kids are going crazy too. Don't worry, I had to tell them to stop it.
They're going nuts. But let's talk about your outfield with Michael Harris, who I love him in center.
Yeah.
Then you got Acuna.
Rookie of the year
for sure. Harris is going to be up there, so he's my rookie. So.
Yeah.
I mean, they just have talent so much. You lose Freddie Freeman, and you replace him with Olsen. You got Contreras behind.
Pick up.
Yeah, Wilson Contreras' brother. What's his first name, Ty?
Sorry, I was texting my wife. What?
Oh, what's Wilson's brother's name? Contreras, the catcher.
For the
Wilson
Braves.
Contreras?
Yeah, what's his
brother.
brother's name? The catcher for your Braves. What's his first name?
Oh, now I can't even think of it.
I can't think of it, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so
Yeah.
he's good. So that all around they have such young talent. Give credit to the GM, Alex the Greek. Can't say his last name, but starts with an A. But he's
And
done a
all
great
that talent's going to be there for years to come. I mean, he's just signing phenomenal contracts.
phenomenal team-friendly contracts, but still paying the payers fair market
William
value at the time.
Contreras. William
Yeah.
and Wilson.
Yeah, William and Wilson. So, you know, that future is bright for your manager out there in Atlanta. So, you guys will be back. Cardinals will be there. We'll see what they do since you guys always find a way to get pitching. So
Yeah, it looks like, which we can transition, like I said, we were talking about the offseason. So, like, do you think Trey Turner returns to L.A., and do you think Swanson returns to Atlanta, or do they have new homes, and if so, where are they going to?
I think Trey reunites with Bryce.
In Philly?
I agree. That's
I think
100%.
that they played together in Washington. I think they were a part of a squad that, that World Series squad, even with Max Scherzer. I think he goes to Philly. I can't think of the Philly shortstop off the top of my head. Now, Swanson, I think
Segura,
isn't it?
Gene Segura. Yep.
I think he could pull. I think he goes to Philly and reunite. I've said that since I don't know when all this free agency stuff started talking. Now, as far as Atlanta, I think I can see them. They may try to work a deal with Swanson if he walked. I don't think I would be necessarily upset. Not as upset as I was when Freddie Freeman walked.
He never should have walked.
Right.
Do they pivot to Correa or Bogarts, or
Well, they
what
would.
do they do?
They'd be in
No,
on
I
Bogart.
think that that young kid that the Braves brought up towards the end of the season. Oh, now I can't think of his damn name.
Oh,
He played second base for him. Vaughn Grissom. That's it. Vaughn Grissom. He's a guy that I think could play anywhere in the infield.
yeah, and he's
there's a
got speed.
possibility when Ozzie comes back, you can move him at second and have Vaughn Grissom. I think his initial position was shortstop.
It was.
And
He was drafted as a shortstop. Yep.
the guy to come up as a rookie and to produce the way he did in such a place or a time where the Braves were playing from behind. They were trying to catch up with the Mets, and so much pressure for such a young ball player, and to be clutch during that time period. I could see them letting him walk and keeping somebody like Vaughn Grissom, who they have for the next 6 years, under contract to see how well he does. It's shown that the Greek, as Travis put it, is not afraid to throw money at our young players. We have a majority of our team locked up for the next 6 to 7 years. This team is built for the future, not just for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now, would I like to spend some money on free agency? Who wouldn't? I think that
Well, they got one of the top payrolls, so do they really need to?
The key there is, I appreciate that. I think the DH should be gone altogether, but at the same time, if everybody's going to have a DH, then at least that can play into everybody's hands in a positive way. But I think Marcell Ozuna is, the Justin Turner of the Braves this year. Like that contract, whatever it was quite a few years ago when they ended up having to deal him with Craig Kimbrell to San Diego to get out of that contract. But I think Marcell Ozuna just needs to go. He's not worth the money that they're going to end up paying him. And to trade him is going to be difficult. And then try to get a young player in return for him. I don't know, man. It can be tough, especially if you can, DH or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And for me, I know Mozeliak has already talked about, he's really about pushing payroll this year, which is kind of surprising. He's never said that before. Usually he's pretty keeps it close to the vest as far as what the Cardinals' plans are. But I think with having Arenado's opt out, I think feels like he has to go all in. And not that Arenado was probably going anywhere because he loves St. Louis, but I feel like they feel like the Cardinals are right on the cusp of being up there with the Dodgers and the Braves, that they have to, now make some moves to do something. Now, what those moves are, I'm hoping they need a shortstop. They said they're possibly going to keep Paul DeYoung, but hopefully that's just smoke and mirrors so they can offload him to another team, even though he's got a $9 million contract. But I'd like to see them get Trey Turner. Probably won't happen, or Bogarts would be a good move for them. Not sure that'll happen. Hopefully, I mean, if they open up their checkbook and, I think they've got about, 35 million or something like that to play with. I forget what number it is. They're like at 164 and they're trying to get up to 200. So they should make some, hopefully, waves in the offseason. Plus, they've still got they got a heck of a AAA team and minor league system too. So hopefully they make some shockwaves and can compete next year as well.
Yeah,
and Wayne Wright's coming back for one more year.
Oh, yep.
I think the biggest one for me is Judge.
Yeah,
We were talking about that.
That was not last week, but the week before. So my take is we'll start with Judge. I think Judge is going to have a lot of suitors, but I think the two main ones are going to be the San Francisco Giants, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I'm going to tell you why. And the Giants are number one. He grew up less than an hour from Oracle or from the park there, out in San Francisco. So he's a Northern California kid. And they have money. They got money, a lot of money, right? So I think they're going to get him. Judge, I think, goes to the Giants. Trey Turner's going to go with Bryce in Philadelphia. So that leaves the Dodgers without a shortstop. Now, Gavin Lux was drafted as a shortstop. He played shortstop in college. He's a local kid here in Wisconsin, from Kenosha, Wisconsin. So we'll see about that, but he's not good defensively, so I don't think the Dodgers go that route. I think the Dodgers are going to look at Carlos Correa. I think they're going to look at him hard because he's willing to do a 1-year deal or 2-year because of his agent. So we'll see with Carlos. I think Xander Bogaerts goes to the Cardinals or the Braves. I think the Cardinals 1, Braves 2, because I don't think Swanson comes back because what Ty said, you guys have so much young talent. Why are you going to give Swanson, who had, by the way, his best year, but the years before that, Ty, 3 years, he didn't have an OPS over 800.
I think the biggest thing for him is that it's his defense
and I love his defense. Absolutely,
he's an amazing defender, but
amazing.
It's the bat. They're just.
But both. So you put that.
What he wants to demand, he just doesn't. I don't think is.
Do you think he's worth $30 million a year?
I don't know how much is he asking for.
$30 million for 5 years, so $150 million. So that's a little high, I think, for him. Only because,
especially when you saw some that. Like I said, Vaughn Grissom. If you watched him play,
I did. And Harris. Between those two young guys, to do it like you said in a race to come back when you're over double digits behind the Mets before the All-Star break, and then the Mets they're doing Mets shit. That's what they do. They collapse.
DeGrom ain't coming back either.
He's definitely not going back. DeGrom just tweeted today he's open to going to Texas and reached out to Kershaw. Now, Kershaw looks like, they didn't give him a qualifying offer today, Kershaw. So it looks like
he's
Kershaw and DeGrom.
To the Dodgers.
I don't think so.
Atlanta
I think Kershaw
was one of those places that, during the season that they speculated DeGrom. It's like, I don't know. Would the Braves spend that kind of money?
Yeah, $40 million a
Why
year.
Why not?
For a guy that only pitches half the season too, can he stay healthy?
He could stay
healthy. I think
healthy.
the health is part of it, but the other part of it is that, when he is pitching, look what the Mets record was while he was starting. He had no offense. That team just was like, oh, we'll just let him do what he's got to do, and we don't have to do anything because DeGrom's pitching.
And his arm fell off.
There's not been many pitchers after the age of 35 that have been all that successful. Especially when they come to Atlanta. I hopefully that that's not the case. I would love to see him come to Atlanta and on a good deal that would be beneficial to him and the team. But he wants to win a ring. And I think that if he were to look at it, it kind of sucks to say this because this is that money buys the teams, but he's going to stay in pinstripes, but it's not going to be the Mets pinstripes. I think he goes to the Yankees, especially if. Yep, I think DeGrom. I think that even if Judge, especially if Judge resigns with the Yankees, I think that DeGrom could bring that type of leadership to the Yankees, and he knows that they're a winning. I mean, can you imagine Garrett Cole and DeGrom? I mean, they went Max Scherzer and DeGrom. I think Garrett Cole and DeGrom as a 1A and 1B is an awesome start and bring, because I like Cole, but I just don't think he has that leadership that DeGrom demands from his team.
I
Mets
agree.
are having buyer's remorse.
If I had to put a prediction on DeGrom, I think he ends up as a Yankee.
What about DeGrom in LA with the Dodgers? What do you think about that? He floated that possibility. Remember at the All-Star break.
There's two teams that I think can afford him, and that's the Dodgers
Yankees
or the Yankees.
And the Yankees,
I mean,
right?
Yeah.
But
he's
if I'm
looking for
him,
that last payday, those are the two teams that are going to pay him.
If I'm him, if Judge goes back to New York, I'm on the phone with Cashman, Brian Cashman, immediately. Yep. But I don't think Judge stays though. I honestly think Judge will be a Giant, which is sad. I'd like to see him stay in New York, just like I was mad when Freddie left the Braves and came to the Dodgers. As much as I love my Dodgers, it would be like Chipper Jones going to the Dodgers, which I love Chipper, right? Or, which pissed me off, Mike Piazza leaving and then going to the Mets, from the Dodgers to the Mets. That pissed me off. But I think Chipper was Atlanta. He still is Atlanta. And then Freddie Freeman, Chipper passed the torch. And then Freddie leaves, and to find out that he left for less money, and we have a shit.
That's because if his agent screwed him over.
And we got a shit more ton of taxes in LA and California than they do in Georgia. So, I mean,
ultimately his contract made less money.
Correct.
Ultimately because of the taxes.
Yes.
There's one free agent that I'm interested in seeing where he lands this year is Anthony Rizzo. I never thought he would have been traded from the Cubs. To begin with, and he's
Does
still
he go
a
back
fan
to New
favorite.
York?
No.
I don't know, man.
No.
I'd be curious to see if he entertains the possibility of coming back to Chicago. He was doing a lot around the city.
Wait,
he did a lot for the city here, not just part of that World Series team. But I think I don't.
And
know
he goes
if
back to be the DH there.
Wait,
I don't think that he would necessarily. I don't know. It depends on how burnt that bridge is. But I just know there's still people that like when I went and watched the White Sox play the Yankees this year, and White Sox fans were cheering Anthony Rizzo when he came up to the plate.
Good thing you said.
So, I mean, like
he's beloved there.
Yeah, I mean, he's just that he's a player. Even as White Sox fans are cheering this guy. So I mean, the guy, what he did for the city, not only
it'd be funny if he signs with the White Sox.
He will.
That'd be hilarious.
Does he come back to Chicago? Maybe
he goes back to
the Cubs.
He goes to Chicago, but he goes to the South Side, right? He goes to the. I agree.
I could care less if he was in a Cubs uniform. I'm just curious if that's one that he would do. But I mean, that'd be. I think that's the most interesting free agent out there outside of the key names.
What about Rizzo going back?
What I've seen and what I see around the city.
Yeah. What about Rizzo going back to the Padres, the team that actually drafted him? Because their first baseman.
I don't see the Padres going that route. They're focused on Soto, get him re-signed. And their organization's in a damn dumpster fire to begin with. I mean, they do the same stuff every year where they spend a boatload of money and then don't do a damn thing.
But they need a first baseman and a DH.
They beat the Dodgers, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but I mean, going beyond that, I mean, they'll spend a boatload of money and then, find out that they start falling apart and then they start selling off pieces.
Man, the Padres ain't won shit in forever. They beat us, but we beat them 16 times in the regular season. We're their big brother still, always will be. We run California. That's it. Southern California, shall I say. But yeah, I think Rizzo might entertain going back to San Diego because he was drafted there. He knows the team well. But I honestly think Rizzo returns in pinstripes though too. He plays too good a defense to let him go. And he played good. Didn't you guys think he played well?
Yeah, when he was healthy, when he got injured, he was playing pretty good. So
yeah, he brings some pop.
I'd be interested to see
defense. Yep, and he's a very good.
I don't know who else is out there that besides the big ones. I know Carlos Rendon. He should get a decent paycheck. Of course, Carlos Correa we talked about. I don't know who else is out there that's a big name. I can't remember.
Well, Clayton Kershaw's a free agent.
Yeah,
Kershaw.
he'll probably, like I said, I think he maybe goes back to the Dodgers. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
his heart is in L.A. and
I hope
I'd
so,
be
but
shocked if he goes to Texas. I mean, he could go to Texas because he's from there, but
from Arlington, yep. So we'll
yeah,
see.
I'd be surprised if he leaves L.A.
Imagine him and DeGrom going to Texas.
That's what I said. That's a possibility because they
Yeah.
are close. DeGrom and Kershaw are very good friends, so that is a
I
possibility.
guess maybe the Rangers would maybe open up their,
Well, they did for Seager and Marcus Semien.
yeah. That's
$400
what
million.
I'm like. They spent a boatload of money last year. Did they, spend a boatload again this year too, or?
They got the money. They need pitching. God knows they
Yeah.
need.
Well, and then of course their division that they're in is not really competitive at all. I mean, you've got
A's and Angels suck, and you got the
Yeah.
Astros, and the Mariners are good
the
though.
Royals are freaking
Oh no,
terrible.
the Royals are AL Central.
And but I mean,
Yeah.
in the AL.
Oh, in the
general,
AL though.
I mean,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But
But the
the
West, I mean,
the Mariners are finally made the playoffs for the first time
Yeah.
in 21 years.
yeah, and hopefully they stay competitive next year too. But outside of that, the Angels are a shit show. And Oakland, I'm hoping Oakland trades Murphy to St. Louis. With Yachty retiring, it'd be a fantastic pickup for them. So that's what I'm.
They just signed Wilson Contreras.
Who?
The Cardinals.
When?
It was a 5-year deal.
Are you
Get the
serious?
hell out of here! You were lying. You were lying through your
I
teeth.
swear he said.
Wait a minute, because I didn't see that.
Hold on. I didn't see anything about that. Now we're all looking and getting on our phones and
I didn't see
figuring out
it
if it's
though.
cool.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything come across.
yeah, nothing came
The only one I
across.
saw was the infielder from the Guardians. That was it.
Yeah, no trade yet for Contreras.
Ooh, give me a damn heart attack. I'm
But
wondering what the hell's going on.
Well, watch this. Contreras going to the Cardinals would be a very good pickup with no more.
I don't know. I mean, I like the guy, but he's on the opposite side of 30.
Yeah, but he
mean-
still gets you 25, and
But his defense wasn't as good. And Sean Murphy's only 20 couple, and Cardinals had the prospects. So why wouldn't you go for a
Well-
guy that's, has
Yeah,
good
but-
offense, good defense, and is on the opposite side of 30?
yeah. Well, you want a Hispanic, a Latino to follow Yadier.
Maybe.
Another Latino catcher. I like Contreras.
I swore I
Listen.
saw something that they were going after him.
Oh, I'm sure
I
they're
know
going
there
to
was rumors it's a possibility, but then it's
He's going to get
a
at
bunch
least
of
20.
He'll
He'll get 5 years, $100 million from the Cardinals, $20 million a
probably.
year, maybe 25
We'll
million.
see. Boy, that'd piss the Cubs off for sure. Ooh, that'd just be like a little salt in the wound.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere, right?
Well, I mean, hopefully they could end up spending money in the offseason too, but I mean, we know Milwaukee's not going anywhere. I don't know what the hell Milwaukee's doing. That team's, I don't know what that GM's about to get fired. I know that's for damn sure.
Yeah, they get rid
He's
of
about to
Hader.
be shown the door. Been competitive for years, and then all of a sudden they just
Have you ever seen that? They're in first place or close to first place with the Cardinals, and they trade 2 players.
and that locker room was just done after that.
It just didn't make any sense.
It didn't. I didn't understand that at all.
I didn't understand it.
I
and
appreciated it. And it worked out for us great, but
I mean, Hader didn't do good in San Diego. So,
until the playoffs.
to the
Then
playoffs,
he kicked it back off.
he did good against the Dodgers. He struck 1, 2, 3.
Yep. I guess we can touch on. We'll finish up because we got a few more minutes here. I guess we can transition for a few minutes into college football. I don't know, Ty. Do you have a college team that you're interested in, or not too much?
All of them. I just want to know who the Packers are going to be picking. Top 5
Right. There you go.
coming up.
So, what's the big games this week? We got Alabama. Alabama
Ole
and Ole
Miss.
Miss. That's a good one. 9 versus 11. I think
Oregon
Alabama
and
will-
Washington.
Who else?
Of course, the Tennessee and Georgia game. That was crazy. That was a good game.
Yeah, Georgia blew them out. TCU, Texas.
Yeah.
And then, we should. Yeah, they have my Trojans minus 35 versus Colorado.
And
Minus
of course,
35.
Clemson losing. That was a big shocker. They dropped all the way down to 10. They lost to Notre Dame last week.
You know what makes me mad about college football? Ohio
TCU and
State
Texas
has.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Number 4
I meant-
Texas.
Yeah, I mentioned that one. Indiana at Ohio State. Ohio State doesn't play anyone until Michigan, and
Yep.
the team is still ranked 2. It pisses me off. They're
I
not
know.
better They are not. Watch this. They're not better than Tennessee. I think Tennessee beats them in a neutral place. I think Michigan beats them. And who else?
Georgia definitely beats
Georgia blows them out. So I don't understand how Ohio State is ranked number 2. They played nobody
all the time.
They played no one
All
every
the
year
time.
until Michigan. It's frustrating.
Yep. So, well, we'll wrap it up. We got a little less than an hour of time, so hopefully Ty can come back and visit with us again or talk with us again.
I'd love to do this weekly thing. I mean, I appreciate you guys having me on and, having to put you in your place with that stupid donkey shirt you got going on.
Don't be mad.
Next time I'll wear that G for greatness for all of you. I know that, Mr. Steeler over there thinks he's got the most rings, but we all know who has the most championships in the NFL.
Yeah, well, that was before either one of us were twinkling
it's
our
like,
daddy's
what have
eye.
you done for me lately? When was the last time the Packers won one? When was the last time?
Against the Steelers.
What's the name of the Super Bowl trophy again?
Yeah, the Lombardi.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Throwing it out there.
Oh.
Throwing it out there.
But wait, who has the most Lombardis, though? Tied now. Tied now with the Patriots, right. Patriots tied us. Yep.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me with you.
Yeah.
I'll do this anytime you want me on here.
Yeah, we'd love to have you for moving forward. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
It's better to be the three amigos. We'll be the three amigos.
You go.
But it's usually not going to be an hour. We do a half hour because an hour it's a little long. But today it was good because we could talk I think we could talk forever about football.
Well, yeah, we had to catch
three
up
of us.
on last couple of weeks and everything that's been going on. And you got a lot going on in the off season so far. I mean, right now it's a trifecta with hockey, football.
Shit, we didn't even get in the NBA and Kyrie Irving, so.
Oh yeah, that's
probably a good thing.
That's next week. But don't get me started on him tweeting that juice the Negroes.
That's
college basketball
moron.
kicking off too, baby.
Yeah,
that's going. Of course, this is Krzyzewski's last year, isn't it?
Last year was.
Last year, he's already on.
Who's the coach this year?
John Shire.
You think they're do pretty good under him?
Yeah,
I think
continue.
So.
Former player, John.
I don't. Honestly, I'm nervous. I mean, like I watched the other night, and I was like, it was hard. I mean,
what are you nervous
I've been
about?
a fan of the Blue Devils since 1988, 89, since I remember watching college basketball, and all I've known is Coach K. So to be 40 years old and not see him out there telling players what to do is that's kind of hard,
I
it's
think
definitely interesting.
I think it's going to be good for Duke because you get a new voice and new blood. And John Shire played there, was a very good player. I think it's good for Duke moving forward. You guys got good players. You got 2 blue chippers, right? Top 5 recruiting class again. They do it every year. That's Duke.
Yeah.
So they'll be fine. And I think they'll play more defense under John. I think that's going to be the key is playing defense. We'll see. I'm excited because my UCLA team, they're young, but they got some good players too. So it should be a good year.
See what I did there? I lit that match and threw it on the fire right there and kept it going. Let's do college basketball next week. I'll do some research on some stuff.
Yeah.
I do love.
Even though I got like Michigan, but I don't know. I don't follow too much college basketball.
Yeah, what's wrong with Michigan? You got a good coach.
I love Michigan. Juwan Howard.
Juwan Howard. Over here smacking assistant coaches.
There you go. That's what you got to do. All right, well, we'll pick it back up next week and same time, and you guys have a good rest of the week.
You too. All right, brothers.
Later.
Late.